Before delving into the topic of breakup, it is necessary to understand what happens to your brain when you fall in love. Now, falling in love with someone causes our body to release a flood of chemicals that trigger specific physical reactions. Firstly, everything that reminds you of your partner will eventually trigger the activity in the reward neurons, which is known as dopamine. It is inside the caudate nucleus and the ventral tegmental area of the brain. Now, dopamine helps in controlling the reward and pleasure center, regulating the movement and emotional responses. It is associated with the pleasure system of the brain, which will provide feelings of enjoyment and reinforcement. Most importantly, it enables us not only to see rewards, but to take action to move towards them. Studies has found that the release of dopamine in love is similar to the dopamine released when a person takes drugs. When someone experiences a breakup, the person whose presence or companionship you were so used to is no longer there. For instance, Sarah, whom has just broken up with her boyfriend, Jake, spends her time before going to bed scrolling through pictures that they have taken together before in the past. Here, you can see that people will experience cravings for their ex-partners similar to the way addicts crave for drugs that they are withdrawing from. That is why some people will go back to their exes after a breakup. This can lead to intense distress and physiological as well as psychological discomfort. According to a study conducted at Columbia University, cognitive neuroscientists, namely Edward Smith and his colleagues, conducted a study to see if social rejection and physical pain would stimulate common regions within networks linked to the sensory and affective components of the brain. Their experiment involved showing pictures of the participants' ex-partners to the participants, and then they used a fMRI scan to scan their brain activities to see which part of the brain lights up. They then compared the fMRI scannings to when participants looked at pictures of a friend and when they were exposed to pain via a hot probe on the arm. Surprisingly, the scientists found that the same parts of the brain lit up when individuals looked at the partner's pictures or experienced physical pain, but not when they looked at the friend's picture. But why does this happen? According to the scientists, the regions that were lit up include the insula and the anterior cingulate cortex. But why do such different events elicit the same region of the brain? Let me tell you a secret. These two regions are known to be associated with pain experience. That explains why. Our brains seem to process relationship breakups in the same regions as physical pain. That's why when people had just lost their partner, you tend to hear people say that it hurts so much. But this doesn't necessarily mean that breakups will cause someone to experience actual physical pain. It's more like your brain is asking you to pay attention to the event itself. That's why you will feel intense emotions when the breakup occurs. So, what is responsible for making us feel those intense moments?
Do you know that hormones are actually involved in the aftermath of breakups? Now, one of the aftermath is depression. In a study conducted by Morrow himself, he found that breakup is a significant risk factor for major depressive disorder. Low levels of dopamine is usually associated with depression. There is actually another hormone that is responsible for the cause of depression. Cortisol, as most call it as a stress hormone, is the true culprit because the hormone itself inhibits the release of dopamine in the body from the cortex of the adrenal gland during stressful situations. Aside from those who are depressed from breakups, we also have individuals who are prone to anger due to breakups. Anger can lead to aggressive behaviors, and serotonin is found to be important on the regulation of emotion. People who have low levels of serotonin were found to display aggressive behavior compared to those who do not. Simply put, individuals that experience breakups likely to have low levels of serotonin, and the possibility of them committing an aggressive act is not far off. In another study, Moons and Khaled state that adults reporting higher anger found to have higher level of cortisol. How is cortisol responsible for anger this time around? Apparently, cortisol can reduce serotonin level in the brain by actually inducing an enzyme called tryptophan oxygenase, which breaks down the amino acid tryptophan, which involves in serotonin production. One of the side effects of breakup is actually weight gain. Christine and her fellow researchers found that cortisol is related to increased appetite, cravings for sugar, and weight gain. The craving of sugar can be explained by understanding that cortisol binds to receptors in the hypothalamus, a part of your brain that is actually in charge of your physiological need, which hunger is one of them. After all, sugary food are rich in glucose, which contribute to weight gain.
Now, here's the questions. How do you solve the pain? It's interesting how different people have different ways to relieve their sadness, stress, or pain. I'm pretty sure you are very familiar with this method because we always see them in Korean dramas and such. Alcohols. Now, how exactly does alcohol help? According to Denning, alcohol slows down the central nervous system, which make a person calmer and more relaxed. But of course, there's a few negative effects that come along with the consumption of it, and one of it is memory blackouts, which explain why we tend to temporarily block out any memories that's related to an ex-partner. Well, all of these effects are led by a neurotransmitter system, GABA. So, what is GABA? GABA is an inhibitory molecule that's thought to have a natural calming effects to reduce the neuronal excitability. It is produced in the brain from a neurotransmitter called glutamate. Its common use are to relieve anxiety and to improve our moods. But how exactly does GABA related to alcohol dependency? Well, according to researchers, drinking alcohols appear to have a direct effects on GABA systems and endorphin system. Okay, here comes another new term, endorphins. What is that? Endorphins are produced in our pituitary glands, spinal cords, and our nervous systems, and its main function is to block pain and control emotions. That's why when people drink, their level of endorphins increases and the pain that they experience is blocked by the endorphins. And that's it. That's how alcohol relieves the pains of breaking up. Other than endorphins, alcohol also increases the levels of dopamine. And like mentioned before, dopamine causes you to crave for more of something because of feelings of enjoyment and rewards that one gains from doing something like drugs. However, it is only temporarily. The moment they stop drinking, the blood alcohol concentration in their blood decreases and there's an absence of stimulant for the GABA and endorphins. Hence, sadness is felt again. That's why people keep wanting to drink more and more because the pain seems to be lessened the more they drink.
According to the study of Ray, an ophthalmologist, when a person experiences a breakup, the amygdala, which controls the emotional processing, will immediately send a signal to the hypothalamus. It is a pea-sized gland in our brain which is connected to the autonomic nervous system. So, what is ANS? It is actually a nervous system which is responsible for the involuntary action of the body, such as hunger, thirst, and also crying. As mentioned before, all the emotions after a breakup will then stimulate the hypothalamus to produce acetylcholine. It is a type of neurotransmitter which binds to the receptor in our brain that sends signals to lacrimal glands. The lacrimal gland is a small gland that is located within the orbit above the lateral end of the eye. When these glands are stimulated, they will continually release fluid, which are commonly known as tears. I believe that you must have heard this before. I feel so much better after crying. Or, just let it out, you definitely feel a sense of relief. So, does activating the waterworks really cure sadness? A psychiatrist mentioned that tearing out actually signals our brain to release endorphins, which act as a pain reliever to boost our mood. Not only that, the adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is a stress hormone and a precursor to cortisol, will also be released when you are crying. In other words, crying can help to release and flush away toxic stress hormone out of the body.
Exercising is one of the ways to reduce your pain after the breakup. Through exercise, your blood circulation becomes better and causes you to become more focused on work. Besides, exercising would help you to increase your brain cells. Do you know there is a number of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, glutamate, and GABA that will produce while you're exercising? They actually help in our mood regulations. Take running as an example. When you run, your brain starts to encounter stress. At this moment, your brain starts to release a protein called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is a protein which controls the release of dopamine in your brain. As a result, increasing of dopamine in your brain will let you feel good and rewarding after exercising.
Hello everyone. My name is Ang Mei Ping.
My name is Zhang Yuan-Xing.
My name is Law Pidron.
My name is Eugene.
And my name is Singhua.
So any one of you who are currently experiencing a breakup right now, just know that you will be alright. You're just experiencing a phase that is very temporary and is very inevitable, and it's completely normal and it's completely human to feel what you're feeling right now because you have just lost someone who has meant a lot to you.
However, don't beat yourself up and don't put the blame completely on yourself because you cannot clap with one hand alone.
Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Remember, it ultimately depends on how you choose to deal with it.
Don't let the negative emotions overwhelm you. Instead, go out and enjoy yourself to steer away from the negativity. Surround yourself with the people you enjoy being with.
Lastly, know that at the end of it, you will definitely become a stronger person and you will fall in love again, but this time with the right person.
We hope that this video has given you a better insight to this topic, and thank you so much for watching this video.